in that big game. So I think this is a good lead-in for our going the opposite direction and talking Texas's offense and Michigan's defense. So Drufus dropping the 2. Matt, y'all got Quinn. Let us get Arch Manning. So I don't know. I don't know if you're going to be willing to hand over Arch Manning to the Wolverines anytime soon. But
I mean, the pipeline for quarterbacks right now with Sark is pretty deep. We got upper 4-star KJ Lacey coming in this year. Should be. Hopefully, doesn't get flipped. And then Dia Bell, who I'm the most excited about of any future guy. Rajah Bell's son, 2026. He's a 5-star. So Sark's got it rolling at that position right now. Like, I honestly think, and John, I made the video about this. If Arch Manning were like a free agent, how many teams would in the SEC would take him? He'd be better than their starting quarterback. I took him over everyone except like 5 or 6 teams. I think legitimately he's probably like a top 15 quarterback in the country. I really believe that. And he's our backup quarterback. So, I that's why, like, if Quinn gets hurt, I'm really not that concerned unless it's like Georgia.
Yeah,
it's not.
That's fair.
And even then, I mean, I have been I will say this: I watched Arch when he first got to Texas. In that first, I think it was the first spring game he arrived, and it didn't look that great.
It was too fast for him.
And he went from that to what we saw in this spring game and what we saw in mop-up duty against Colorado State. And he was just, the offense just felt like it kind of reminded me of Cade JJ. Now I'm not calling Quinn Ewers Cade McNamara, but like the general idea of Quinn Ewers comes out and the offense is doing well. It's doing fine, right? But then it just feels like when Arch Manning gets in there, there's something that really, especially with him and Wingo, that just goes even a higher gear.
Well, that's his guy on the second team. That's his favorite guy to target. So I wasn't shocked by that. But also, he's just he's very athletic. Like, people don't realize that. He's been tracked running at 21 miles an hour. Like, the guy's a really good athlete, and he's 6'4", 230 pounds. And his arm is, like, he's got a rocket for an arm. He's got a way stronger arm than Quinn does.
Yeah, so let's hit the topic, though, just because obviously he's not quite QB1 yet, right? So we got Quinn Ewers in there, very experienced starter, has beat Alabama, very exclusive club who can beat Alabama, Texas, Michigan. There aren't very many teams that have done it, right? But at the end of the day, you've got Quinn Ewers, and I guess when I saw Isaiah Bond and Wingo in there, and I know that there were other pieces, but those two in particular impressed me. And I even said to TJ, we got to watch out for Wingo, because there's no question on earth that Michigan is going to be ready for Bond. They're going to put their best, they're probably going to put Will Johnson on him. They're going to put their best people, like, they're going to be factoring him in. I'm a little concerned they're not going to quite do the same amount of defense against Wingo, when I think he might be really potent in his own way. How do you think your offense matches up against the Will Johnsons, the Mason Grahams, the Kenneth Grants that you're going to face?
So I don't think this is the most talented offense Michigan will have faced at the like with Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham and those guys. I think Ohio State has us beat there, but I do think it's the fastest. I think in general, this is the fastest team Sark has had at Texas, and probably the fastest since the 2005 team. That team was really fast. That had Jamal Charles and as a freshman with Vince Young back there. So that team was really fast. But overall, yeah, Ryan Wingo, Pro Football Focus released it today. He was the highest graded freshman, period, out of anyone last week. So yeah, he's a stud. I already said this, I'm on record. I think he will be the best wide receiver once he leaves Texas since Roy Williams. That is gigantic praise, because Roy Williams was an absolute freak in college, didn't live up to it as much as in the NFL, but still a decent player. Yeah, I know. I knew you were going to say that with the Lions. Still a decent player, but not like he was in college. But yeah, Ryan Wingo's a freak. What's interesting to me, Sark has told the truth, and the reporters for Texas around that have inside information have told the truth about everything. Other than this, Silas Bolden apparently was killing it in camp, the transfer from Oregon State. I didn't see him very much for Colorado State, and that makes me think Michigan's going to get a pretty heavy dose of him this week. That's just my thought. I think you're going to have packages with him. He is insanely fast. If you miss a tackle, he's going to take it to the house. Isaiah Bond, obviously, the little corner route where he fixes his helmet mid route and then catches it. Dude's a freak as well. Ryan Wingo, Matthew Gold doesn't even get talked about. The dude had 2 touchdowns, and he's the one that caught that no-look pass from Quinn sitting down in the zone. And that's actually the guy Quinn has the most rapport with. Everyone has said that. Those guys have been having a great connection since Matthew Golden arrived from Houston. So this is a really talented wide receiver room. Do we have the 2 studs we had last year? No. But we have 6 guys, in my opinion, that all match up with the 3rd wide receiver we had who's killing it with the Rams right now, Jordan Whittington. I think there's 6 guys that are just as talented and just as good as he is. So it's a really deep room. It's a really fast room. I'm excited for it. If Texas, what I think is going to happen at the line of scrimmage, this is another debate I got on Twitter. I think the Michigan O-line versus the Texas D-line is actually where this game's decided, because I think the Texas O-line versus the Michigan D-line, they're both going to get the best of each other some reps, and I think it's just going to end up being a stalemate. I really do. I think that's a stalemate at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the key. This is really the key to the game here. If Michigan can keep that offense in check, then we are in a ball game, right? And I think we can. Like, if I had to, what is our strongest unit? Obviously, our defensive side of the ball. This is where our strongest unit has to go up against your strongest unit, and we have to win the match. If we want to win this game, we have to win this match. Now, there's another key to this. I guess puzzle or formula to true success, which we'll hit on, but. I think this is where we're going to see the creativity of Wink Martindale. You're going to see the creativity on the back end with the disguise coverages, and you're going to see the creativity with the front 7 and who's going to be blitzing, where they're going to be blitzing, how they're going to disguise it, or are they, what I'm interested to see. And I know they're going to test this in the beginning. What can we do with 4-man rush? What can we do? They're going to test that. I mean, listen, and we've had this, anyone who's watched our show, this already. We talked about this with Matt. This is going to be the best offensive line we will face all year. There's no other team with a stronger offensive line than Texas. They have the best offensive line. They have arguably the best offensive lineman that's going into the draft this year. And your left tackle, what's his name, Matt?
Kelvin Banks,
right. He's going to be projected like top 5 pick. So he's a monster. Very good offensive line. Very, and not only that, experienced. That's the key. That's really, I was thinking about this earlier, John. This Texas team reminds me of us last year. Made it to the playoffs, lost. Your team's back. I mean, yeah, you lost some weapons offensively, but some of your top guys are back, and they're on a mission. You guys are on a mission this year to win a national title. This is your year. You guys have already gone through it. You've had your big games. Right? You've had your big games. You've lost your game. You've lost in the playoffs. Like, they were on a mission this offseason. They know the deal. Where our team is this, we won the Natty, but now we have this whole new, crop of players who are now getting their legs under them, where you guys were getting your legs under you last year, right? So that's where we are. It's the experienced team versus the non-experienced team. It's going to be so interesting to see play out. But I think we can win this battle. I do think we can win this battle, but one thing has to happen for us to win this battle, which I will cover in keys of the game.
Yeah, and it's funny because our least experienced offensive lineman won SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week this week, and he's a monster, man. Like Cam Williams, Anthony Hill said it best. He gets his handles on you, it's over. The man is 6'7", 350 pounds. There's really, in the run game, he just mauls people. He just destroys them. In the pass game, he struggles a little bit, but not really. Like I said in the 2022 class when he was coming in, I thought he had the highest upside of all the offensive linemen, and Kelvin Banks was in that class. And he's starting to live up to it. And the coaching staff said that too. Like when Christian Jones came back last year, they were kind of saying, man, can you leave? Because we actually think the guy behind you is better, but we're not going to, a 6-year senior, we're not going to kick you to the curb because you're still a decent player. Like, he was a 5th-round pick, so he's not terrible. I think Cam Williams is probably a 2nd-round pick. That's my opinion on him. So it's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah. And I think you're in kind of comparison, TJ, to Michigan's team last year is pretty spot on, because they had been to the mountaintop, close to it, but never got all the way to the top. Finally hit that at the end of 2023. Something else we saw that year is that Michigan faced opponents with like two in particular, right, that had a elite offense, and I would say Washington's was the best that Michigan faced, even compared to Ohio State. Ohio State had the best elite one wide receiver, but as a whole, Washington's offense was just devastating teams. You remember, I mean, Washington, like their quarterback, their receivers, and NFL first round draft picks. And look, Michigan was able to win by containing and also getting Will Johnson involved in the interception game, which we also saw last week. So Josephine with the 5 says, can we just selfishly and shamelessly expect our defense to win it for us? By the end of this past game, they looked like champs. The answer to the question is they can't do it alone, but they can do a lot of it. If Will Johnson does a pick 6, that helps. And just like knowing that Quinn Ewers and that offense, you can't keep them completely off the board. You got to treat them like Ohio State 22, Washington 23. They're going to get their points. They're going to get theirs. The question is, can Michigan meet that moment of getting just that little bit more?